Hello, beesies.
Well, hey everybody. We're out here today in early July, and you may remember this was the colony that was the bottom of the double screen board. And I don't know if I've ever pointed this out or explained it to you, but I try to have a color coding system for my equipment. Should be able to see the bottom board is a green, and for me and my bee yard, that means it's a solid bottom board. When I have a screen bottom board, I use both. I don't know that I prefer one or the other, but in this instance I have a solid and it's green. This bottom box here is tan. It can be white too. I use two different colors for the brood nest boxes, boxes, and brown or white typically. And then this orange band, this is actually an inner cover, and many of my inner covers have this orange paint around the edge, and that's for me when I'm feeding. If I'm using a shim or a box, in this case a box, I know that if I see this orange band, I've got food on there. And then this box color is irrelevant in this instance. It happens to be tan because that's the box I grabbed. Any box above the orange band I know is a spacer basically. In this case it's a light brown deep, which one day following that pattern would make this box one day available as a brood nest box on some of this hive or another hive. The hive top color is irrelevant. Some are white, some are brown, I think. Probably some are unpainted too. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out to you in case you were curious. But what we're going to do is open this one up, see how they're getting along. So this top cover, and then I mentioned that I put that shim on for feeding. They've just got just the littlest bit of sugar water left. I was feeding them because I just wasn't sure what they needed or wanted. I figured if they didn't want it and they didn't need it, great, they wouldn't use it. So you see here, this is the colony today. And we're going to get back into it for the first time since the experiment with the double bottom board ended. Try to be very easy with that part of the beekeeping, but some days are better than others. I like to look at the bottom board, the top board, for beetles, or I found a queen on there once, which means I'll look at it for the rest of my life with my tendencies to do that. So here, they've started to hatch out a good number of bees, as evidenced by their population. They're covering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5 seems pretty good out of a total 9 seams. There's 10 frames in here. I'm just counting seams between. Maybe it's 11. Maybe I told you wrong. Anyway, they're looking good. Point of that story. These couple on the ends are not being worked yet. They're just starting to be drawn. The black one was a donor. The white one is not touched. I'm just doing this to give myself some room to look through. Oh, dropped a pollen patty on the bottom, but that'll be all right. Queen has not been over here yet. There's no eggs. So now we're getting into the cluster. Alright, so your queen's been here. I haven't looked, maybe she's on this one. So far, so good. Well, I'm happy that this one's doing well. I've won some and lost some this year with the bees. So to win with one is a good feeling. Now, she's not marked on this one. I try to keep this one up and down, as you can tell, that burr comb. She's laid in it though, she don't mind. All right. So now the only thing I really want to keep looking at here, and the only reason I'm going to keep bothering them, is now that I've established that the queen's present by way of eggs, I just want to look and see how they're set for food, because we're coming into some lean time. Not a lot blooming out there besides clover. And if you want them to continue to lay and increase and thrive, they'll need some food. So here, it may not translate on your screen, but I'm looking at the larvae, and the larvae are wet and glistening, which means they've got food enough at least to feed the larvae. And you know, they'll sacrifice the larvae for the colony. So what I'm saying is, if they don't have enough food, they won't feed the larvae. They can actually cannibalize the larvae, and get their protein from that way. But if they're still feeding their larvae, the queen's still laying eggs here. I see some more eggs. They've got a good honey band around the top. They got a decent population. Eggs and more here. Lots of eggs, actually. This is all eggs. Then you know you're good. So we're satisfied that they have food. The last thing I want to check is I gave them a couple of these frames from the failure from the top, and I just want to see what they're doing with them. So these were empty, and they are glistening full of nectar. Let me see if I can catch a little bit of light there is. Glistening full of nectar. So same on the other side, and the queen's actually over there too. See if I can show her to you. Oh, she's going through that. There she is. There's your queen. She's looking for that pass through. Anyway, so what you have is, there she just passed through. You have everything you need to see. They don't necessarily need more room right now. And they've got food. All is well. I'm just trying to get here without squishing too many, and trying to learn to be not clumsy myself here. Now, you're gonna squish bees every time, really. Nobody wants to. But we're going to say this one's on a good path. They've got A couple frames left to go before they really get crowded. And we'll put the cover back on and without the feeder. Cover back on and leave these ones alone. Last thing I'll leave you with on this hive is, even though I've got it ratchet strapped, I still put a brick on it. And the reason I do that is, I haven't been really great at taking notes this year. I used to keep notes very well. But I've since fallen off, and what I do is I use the brick, regardless of strap or not. Most of them straps on them, some of them don't. But the brick, if it's going with the long way of the hive, all is well. If the brick is across the hive, that means something's wrong, something needs checked into. So in conjunction with the color coding, so I can drive by this hive. See, it's got a solid bottom board, one brood chamber. I'm not feeding anything. The other part about that is on the boxes that I do have that are planning on being honey, those are mostly painted yellow. So anyway, not hard and fast rules, because I've got a lot of equipment I built and painted over the years before I decided on this standardization, but that's what I'm moving toward as I seek to increase. So as a carryover from the last hive, this has got a brick running long ways. It's got a green bottom, white box, and a yellow box. So at a glance, that tells me solid bottom, brood chamber, honey box. So seeing that the brick was on correctly, there was no peculiar cause for alarm with this colony last time I was in. Looking at it just as I open it up, they're not crowding the top. So I don't think I'll need to add room today. We're going to check these ones for food. Got a little bit of shiny in there. These are some old kind of scabby frames, but they'll do. They were drawn, that's why I wanted to give these ones drawn. They got plenty of time, but why not help them? There's some good nectar. Right on top is capped, below that is uncapped. I'll pull a couple more frames out of the top just to see if there's any kind of larva, eggs. That was honey, or nectar. Will be honey. This one's nice and light. They must not like it. It's totally dry. Oh no, they're starting to put a little bit in. Wonder what it was about that they didn't like. Because the ones beside it are heavy. This one's fairly heavy. Oh yeah. Packed with honey and nectar. So they're not gonna starve. I'm gonna pull one more out of here and then we'll just go to the bottom box. Nothing. So what we'll do then, we can expect this one to be more of the same. So we'll just take it all the way off. Get a gauge of it. Oh dear. It's heavy enough. All right. Population looks good in here. Covering 8 frames, so 7 seams, pretty good, and a couple, wouldn't even say half on the outside 2. Population wise, no concerns. Now we're going to start looking for the brood nest. There's some larvae. It's hard to see. This is some very light comb, but some extremely young larvae, some eggs. Yes, eggs. Okay. They got food, they got eggs. As much as I enjoy getting in my beehives, it's hot, I'm dripping sweat. There's nothing to see, nothing to do with this hive. We'll put it back together. This is the inner cover that was in the field when I decided to go to that marking scheme, and it hasn't cycled back in through the bee shop to get marked up and be part of the marking scheme. This is one that the real reason we came out here. 2 bricks is irrelevant, but notice that they're across the width of the hive. Indicates that there was a concern last time through. There are bees in there. Could be robbers, but there are bees in there. That's step 1. Step 1 to a beehive, have bees. Nope. I got a pollen patty on there that I think I'm feeding everything but bees. This box don't weigh nothing. And there is, I could almost count them on 2 hands. So we're going to establish this one's a failure. This one was a failure, and that's too bad. I gave them brood in the hopes that that brood would hatch out, and oh, it's getting worms in it. Yuck. And beetles. All right, so what we'll do, we'll tear this down. I don't understand it. There was eggs there. Ain't that some bad luck? But anyway, no sense crying the blues. You win some, you lose some. I'm working with bugs. We'll take this back and put the wormier frames in the freezer. And once they've been frozen for a while, they'll be good to go. So anyway, that was just early July day in the bee yard. If this was a batting average, it would be really good. But I'm down to 2 good hives. If you saw the recent video, it's been up and down, but I'm down to 2. but they're good ones, and you just saw them. So we'll just keep on keeping on. Anyway, hope you found some of this useful, and if you did, give a like, comment, subscribe below. All those are welcome. Questions are great. I don't always have the answers, but the whole idea, let's work together and get better at it. So anyway, thanks for watching.